Hello, Professor. My name is Shashank Sharma. In our group, we are me, Shashank, and Srishti Tiwari. So for this assignment, we solved few challenges. Okay, yeah. To solve this first challenge, we can use two ways, which are like with burp suite or without it. Here we have shown both the ways, but to solve this particular challenge, we use the other way. I mean, without burp suite. So to perform it with burp suite, uh, that's yeah. So to perform it with Burp Suite, we simply went to the feedback page. We filled all the information. We turned the intercept on and then submitted the feedback on the web page, which you can even see on the screenshots. Here you will notice when we send the response from the Burp Suite, or let's say we forwarded the response, then we noticed that in the response of this request, there exists a property named user ID. Can you scroll a bit? Yeah. So in this screenshot, you can see that there is a property also, which the property name is user ID. So now we knew that this property exists, and we got a new that we can send another request using Burp Suite and add one more property there in the request, which is user ID. And here we can give any user ID, of any user to perform this forced feedback task. However, we also perform this operation another way. Can you scroll? Yeah, with without burp suit. Yeah. For this, we look for the hint provided with the task. Here, we inspected the feedback page and found there is an input tag which is disabled and hidden. Yeah, you can see in the screenshot as well that we have inspected there. Here, what we did, we changed the properties in the DOM for the input tag, which is highlighted there, and we made that input box or the text box visible on the page. Then we entered the email ID. Yeah, you can see there. And it could be the any email ID. It could be the real one or the forced one. We entered the feedback. We gave ratings. We gave captcha, and then we submitted the feedback. This way, we completed our task. Can you scroll more? Yeah. So this way, we completed our task. Can you scroll more? Yeah. So if I talk about the vulnerability being exposed in this task, then it was broken access control. As even being unauthorized for this particular feedback, we could use the valid email ID to force the feedback. We bypass the access control check here, and we bypass the access control check by manipulating the hidden fields in the DOM of that web page, and we acted like we are the real users. So in nutshell, this could be a serial issue if such things happen. So to avoid such attacks, we could do the following things like we should not provide our email IDs wherever not necessary. So not everyone has the access to our email. Another one could be like developers should make sure that any element which is not supposed to be visible on the web page to the named users, it should not be present and changeable in the DOM. Another thing we could notice it is like a server should not allow any operations to be performed uh, on there if any changes are done in the local environment. Developers should not make the properties of the JSON object guessable. Moreover, such properties should not be exposed unnecessarily. Like, how we perform the task in Burp Suite when we use the user ID and it was visible in the response. I mean, it was not necessary to be, to be present here. So these are some of the things if we keep in mind to avoid such issues. Now, if I talk about the real world scenarios, then if such vulnerability is exploited, then anyone could post inappropriate comments on someone's name. Like if I give the example in an organization, an employee can write bad reviews for any other employees. Uh, some other example could be like someone can post wrong reviews to damage the reputation. Like for example, Amazon for a particular product, if I am exploiting this vulnerability, I could write the bad reviews on that particular product. Moreover, people can also, give false feedbacks for a particular feedback. Yeah. So now for further challenges, Srishti will explain. Srishti, over to you.
Thank you, Shashank. So in task 2, we have two challenges. And the first one is access a confidential document which is in the category of sensitive data exposure. To solve this challenge, we have first go to the local host and uh, go to the about us page. And after that, we have just changed the URL localhost 3000 FTP, where we have found the file which is, let me zoom out, acquisitions.md. And after this, we have open it and open in the terminal. After that, this challenge has been solved. So how we can gain this access of this data, this acquisition MD file? So we have been access for exploited the vulnerability to access the confidential data without an alert. And here, uh, how to prevent this vulnerability? We can follow the identify and classify sensitive data, apply access control, perform proper data encryption with a strong updated protocol, strong password using a strong adaptive and salted hashing function, disable caching and autocomplete on data collection form, minimize data surface, etc. So, if I talking about the real world scenario, assume that we have data where that needs to store debit card information for an application. Therefore, we encrypt the data card information using the custom database encryption. The application is then vulnerable to the SQL injection bug that could reveal the debit card information to the attackers, because this is automatically decrypted while it is being transmitted to the database. The second, we have done the gain access to any access log file of the server. This is also in the category of sensitive data exposure. So how we have completed this challenge? Again, we have visited the FTP page of the local host. Now this time we have opened the incident support KBDX file, and we have saved this file to our any folder, like we here we have saved in the download folder. Then after, we have opened in the terminal here. Now, if you can see that here logs are not visible or accessible to us. So what we have done after that, we have just hit the URL localhost 3000 support logs, and after that you can see the logs are visible here, the previous day and current date as well. And to access this log, okay, once I open this log again, now you can see that we can clearly access the log and it's visible, it's clearly visible to us. So what vulnerability we have exploited by this challenge? So we have accessed the server log and we found the server data. And here you can see that we have successfully completed this challenge. So how we can fix this vulnerability or prevent to be data exposure? So we can identify or classify sensitive data, avoid including sensitive data URL, and if possible we can remove the sensitive data and logging structure with blacklist. We can review a code and we can perform the QA or automation testing, automation warning within the logging system, etc. So if we talk about the real world scenario, there are information about the user connection and resources request can be found the server access log. And these logs do not include the comprehensive detail about what user really perform in contracts activity logs. The server logs illustration include Windows security, Linux, last log, AWS, S3 bucket server, etc. So here is the task 3, in which we have done dumpster dive the internet for leaked password and log in to the original user it belongs to. So there are two ways to perform this task, without burp suite and with burp suite. So first of all, we have tried with the without burp suite. So for this, we have visited the Stack Overflow website and we have searched for the access log. Now we can check the URL, and we found the paste bin URL here. We have visited the paste bin URL and we have searched the password here. And here we found the ID user password. Here we found the password for the ID. Now, to know what's the whose password it is, we have just log in with the admin's account, and we go through the administration page and we found some ID. We have tried with each ID and that password. So here we are successful with the JI2934 at the rate do shop ID, and we have gained access of this ID. Af- So after gaining this access, our challenge has been successfully completed. But what vulnerability we have exploited after this gaining the access of these ID? So we have filed and complaint. Here you can see that we have filed the complaint. The services are worse, and it's showing that the customer will get in touch with you soon, your complaint reference to. And if we launch the local host in the Burp Suite, we can easily check after posting the complaint in API complaint URL. It's it's showing 201 status, that is successful, and here it is also showing that the service is worse, are worse. So here we have successfully completed this challenge and broke the vulnerability. And how to prevent the sensitive data exposure? These are the same: classify sensitive data, apply access control and data encryption, so on, as I have discussed earlier. And the brief description about the real world scenario. So password should not be shared with anyone else. So we can here the people can use the hashing algorithm and search the password of anyone's, and to the rainbow table, it is visible to the rainbow table, and it hacked by any GPUs. So that's all from my side. Now task 4 is done by Shashank. So Shashank, over to you.
Yeah. Can you please zoom in, zoom out?
Okay.
Yeah. So for task 4, I will say that the for this last task, it was unlock premium challenge to access the exclusive content. Okay. So for this challenge, we definitely took the help from Hint, as it ain't easy. So to solve this task, what we did, we opened the challenge in the scoreboard, like you can see right now. We opened the challenge in the scoreboard, and we right clicked on the row which is having the challenge and click on the inspect. Can you scroll more? Yeah. So we clicked on the inspect. So in the DOM we found a message, or we can say a text which was encrypted. The text is highlighted there. Yeah. So we were aware of encryption keys endpoint. So we hit the URL and scroll more. Yeah. So from there, when we did the inspect element, we got this text, and from there we used this URL to get the encrypted to get the key which is used to encrypt or decrypt the things used for this particular website. So after performing this step, now we had the both the things like the encrypted text and the key. So to decrypt this message, we used OpenSSL, which is used for encryption and decryption both. And can you scroll more? Yeah, can you scroll more? Yeah. So this is the command which we use. Can you scroll more? In the terminal. So we ran this command in the terminal and decrypted the text. Actually, you can see the text here. Actually, what I'm trying to say, that it was all the text which was decrypted. It was also an endpoint. This text, it was an endpoint, and when we hit the URL after putting the endpoint in it, a new web page was opened. Uh, as can you scroll a bit? Yeah, as you can see in the screenshots as well. This way, we performed this challenge. Scroll more. Yeah, can you scroll more? Yeah. So here, if I would discuss about the vulnerability that we exploited, then it was cryptographic issues. As here in the scenario, we easily decrypted the text which was hidden or was there in the DOM. So now if I talk about how we can fix this issue, then we can do the things like there should be passwords used for decrypting the things. Like to decrypt any message, we should not require only the key, but also some sort of passwords. Uh, Developers should uh, remove directory listings from the web server and should ensure that no backup files or metadata like in Git exists in the web root. Another thing another thing could be like before deploying the code, developers should perform filtering so any sensitive information is not deployed for the end users, like any photo, any link, the text. Like in this scenario, a message was available in the DOM through which though it was encrypted, but it was there. Moreover, key to decrypt it was also easily available for this scenario. Moreover, a developer should not store sensitive data unnecessarily in the project, which we generally found while solving this task. Okay, so if I talk about the real world scenario, then if such vulnerabilities is exploited, then it could be really disastrous. Like any user can easily access any important information, like we did in this scenario. It could be anything like which could be important to the organization. We never know. Besides, as the decryption key was also easily available, any user can try decrypt and play with the key. Like he can. I mean, user is not aware. He has the key. He has the data. He can decode the information which could be very important for that particular organization of which we are using the website. Can you scroll more? Scroll more. Scroll more. So yeah, these are some of the references. Can you scroll more? So these are some of the references which we use to perform the tasks for our assignment. So that was all from our side. Thank you so much.
Thank you.